Welcome to part 2 of the final review. We're going to start with something like 2x to the 4 plus 4x to the 3 minus 30x squared. The easy way to do this, because we can, let's factor out the 2. We also need to factor out the x squared. So we're going to be left with x squared plus 2x minus 15. We keep the 2x squared. We have an x and an x. We're going to have one positive, one negative. The bigger number will be positive. And our two factors of 15 that subtract to get to 2 are 5 and 3. So we're going to have 2x squared times x plus 5 times x minus 3. Then we'll have one that we can't factor anything out. So 2x squared plus 23x plus 11. So the factors that exist for 2x squared are just 2x and x, and for 11 it's just 1 and 11. So we have a 2x and an x. We have two pluses, and our factors of 11, so that we can say 2 times one of them plus 1 times one of them will add up to 23. We're going to say 2 times 11 and 1 times 1. So now when we do the FOIL on this, it'll be 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 11 is plus 22x. 1 times x is plus x. 1 times 11 plus 11. 22x plus x does equal 23. So we know by checking our answer that we got it right. Next, we're going to do one where we actually have to solve for x. So let's say that we have x squared minus 9x plus 18 equals 0. So we can see that we're going to have two negatives. So x minus, our two factors of 18 that add up to 9 are 6 and 3. Now we set each to 0. X minus 6 equals 0. X minus 3 equals 0. So x can equal 6 or x can equal 3. Next, you're going to have something that starts out like 36x squared equals 25. Since we have an x squared, we have to have everything on one side of the equal sign set to 0. So we're going to subtract the 25. 36x squared minus 25 equals 0. Now we have a difference of two squares. So 6x plus 5, 6x minus 5 equals 0. Set both of these equal to 0. 6x plus 5 equals 0. 6x minus 5 equals 0. 6x equals negative 5, or x equals negative 5 over 6. 6x equals 5, or x equals positive 5 over 6. So those will be our two answers for this one. Next, let's say that we have 3x squared minus 6x equals 45. So again, we have an x squared term, so we have to set everything to 0. We're going to subtract 45 from both sides. So 3x squared minus 6x minus 45 equals 0. We can do this the easy way by factoring out a 3. So factor 3, we're left with x squared minus 2x minus 15 equals 0. We keep the 3. We're going to have an x minus and an x plus. Our factors of 15 that subtract to 2 are going to be 5 and 3. Now we set everything to 0. We don't need to worry about the 3 at this point. X minus 5 equals 0. X plus 3 equals 0. So x can equal 5. And x can equal negative 3. Then we're going to have where we have rational expressions. So x minus 7 over 2x minus 8 divided by x squared plus 2x minus 63 over x squared minus 16. It's a division, so the first thing we do is flip the second one to turn it into multiplication. X minus 7 over 2x minus 8 times x squared minus 16 over x squared plus 2x minus 63. Now we need to factor everything we can. This is already factored, but I'm going to put it in parentheses. Here we can factor out a 2, so it's going to be 2 times x minus 4 times, we have a difference of 2 squares, so it's going to be x plus 4, x minus 4. On this one, we have an x plus and x minus. It's going to be 9 and 7. So now we can cancel what we can. We have x minus 7 on top, x minus 7 on bottom. X minus 4 on top, x minus 4 on bottom. All we're left with on top is x plus 4. On bottom, we have a 2 times x plus 9. Next, let's say that we have 5 over 6x to the 3 minus 1 over 12x. So now we're subtracting, so we need to have our common denominator. For just the numbers, 6 will go into 12, so 12 will be the common denominator. And for the x's, we just look at whatever one is the biggest. So it's going to be x to the 3. So in order to get the first one to be the same as this, we just need to multiply it by 2 over 2. This one by x squared over x squared. That way, it's x times x squared is going to be x to the 3, and it's going to be 12x to the 3. Here it's going to be 2 times 6, which is 12, x to the 3. So we're left with 10 over 12x to the 3 minus x squared over 12x to the 3. When we combine this, we'll have 10 minus x squared over 12x to the 3. The next type of question will be a ratio and a proportion. So let's say we have 5-part apple and 7-part orange. And what would we have if we had 140 orange? We need to know how many apple. So we're going to set 5 over 7 equals, since we have apple here, we need apple is the x, and orange on bottom, so orange will go on bottom here. So now we can simplify this to make it a little bit easier. The 7 and the 140, if we divide both those by 7, this becomes 1 and this becomes 20. So now we have 1 times x is x equals 5 times 20 is 100. Then we're going to have another one, a line 2x plus y equals 1, and we're given that if y equals 9, and then if y equals negative 1, and then if x equals 2. We need to find x here, and y here. So in the first one, we're going to substitute 9 in for y. 2x plus 9 equals 1. 2x equals negative 8, or x equals negative 4. Then if we put a negative 1 for y, 2x minus 1 equals 1. 2x equals 2. X equals 1. Then if we put a 2 for x, 2 times 2 plus y equals 1. 4 plus y equals 1. Y equals negative 3. Then we'll have 2 points, and we need to find the slope. So let's say our points are negative 6, comma negative 7, and negative 5, comma 2. So what I'm going to do is say 2 minus negative 7 over negative 5 minus negative 6. 2 minus negative 7 is 9. 5 minus negative 6 is 1. Negative 5 minus negative 6 is 1. And that just equals 9. Then let's say that we have 2x minus 4y equals 12. And we need to graph it The way I'm going to graph this one is by finding the intercepts. So 0, comma, something, and something, comma, 0. So if I put a 0 in for x, I'm going to get negative 4y equals 12, or y equals negative 3. And if I put a 0 in for y, I will get 2x equals 12, x equals 6. So here are 2 points. If we go to 0, comma, negative 3, that will be a point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, comma, 0. Draw the line through the 2 points. On this one, you can also solve for y and put it into the y equals mx plus b if you prefer. The next question actually starts like that. So it's y equals negative 1 over 3x plus 2. So our y-intercept is 2. So we're going to go up 1, 2, and put our point. Then we know that we see that we're going to go down 1 and over 3. So down 1 over 3. Draw the line through those 2 points. Next, let's say that we have negative square root of negative 9 over 64. This is not a real number because we have a negative inside the square root. But if we have negative square root of 9 over 64, our answer is going to be negative. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 64 is 8. Then, let's say we have square root of 75 x to the 7th. So 25 will go into this. So we can break this to be 25 times 3 times x to the 6 times x. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of x to the 6 is x to the 3. We're left with the 3 and the x inside the square root. Next, 4 square root of 18 plus 2 square root of 8. 9 is a perfect square that will go into 18, and 4 is a perfect square that will go into 8. So we're going to change this. 4 square root of 9 times 2 plus 2 square root of 4 times 2. So this now will become 4 times 3 square root of 2 plus 2 times 2 square root of 2, which is 12 square root of 2 plus 4 square root of 2. Add the 12 and the 4, we get 16 square root of 2. Then, let's say that we have 4 square root of 3, and then in parentheses, square root of 11 plus square root of 3. So we're going to distribute the 4 square root of 3. 4 square root of 3 times square root of 11 is going to be 4 square root of 33 plus 4 square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. I could say 4 times 3, so 4 square root of 33 plus 12. And finally, you're going to be given a triangle. Let's say that the hypotenuse is 15, one of the legs is 9, and we need to find A. So 15 squared equals A squared plus 9 squared. 15 squared is 225 equals A squared plus 9 squared is 81. Subtract 81 from both sides. A squared equals 144. Take the square root of both. A equals 12. And this also is one of the 3, 4, 5 triangles. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 5 is 15. So 3 times 4 is 12. So that's it for the final. Good luck.